Welcome to the Empath Alchemy Retreat. We are here to get you moving on your path and to help you move forward, give you tools, help you out, have fun. Today, we have an incredible guest for you. It is Derren Donahue. Did I say your last name right, Derren?
He.
Oh, Donahue. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. And Derren is a spiritual coach who has a strong intuitiveness since briefly passing away in 2012. Since then, he has been able to call on a team of light, as he calls them, to provide insights on your life path and to help you heal from the passing of loved ones. Welcome to the show, Derren. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks so much for having me, Tanya. I'm looking forward to this.
I'm excited too. I love near-death experiences. They are the coolest thing ever. Would you mind sharing with us kind of some of your story and where you're coming from? And I totally want to hear more about this team of light.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah. So I guess I'll go back a little bit even before that.
Okay.
For me, I had an intuitive awareness probably in high school. I used to have dreams or premonitions, and I dream about something, and then that day they'd come true. And it started off really subtly, and then one day I had a dream a roller coaster went off the track and killed 3 people, and then the next day at West Hampton Mall, that's what happened. So I'm like, ooh, shit's getting real.
You did the premonition for that?
Yeah. Well, and sometimes in what we do, you don't want to be right, and
you don't.
So my brother-in-law was actually he was a first responder for our EPS when that happened. So it was like, wow, okay, things are getting real now. So I actually at the time I turned it off. I think it overwhelmed me. I'm that old. I don't even think we had internet back then. So it wasn't, I wasn't about to go to the library and, read up on this stuff, right? I think the last book I read was See Dick Run. Yeah. Grade 2. So, it was, so it scared me. And so I turned it off, or at least I thought I did. See, Dummy Derren didn't realize there's at least 10 ways that spirit can communicate with us. And I may have turned down my clairvoyance, but I was still getting messages all over the place. And I went into the military police right out of high school at 19 years old. And I always got pointed in the right direction. And I had all these great files and everything. And I'm, maybe back then I thought I was quite some hotshot or something, but in reality, I realized I'm not smart enough to find this stuff out. I really feel that spirit was pointing me in the right direction. Yeah. So, when I was married, my wife at the time had a spiritual medium party, which is something that I do for my clients. I have 5, 6, 7 friends over, and I read them one by one. And this medium, said to me, I'll read you in a minute, but you got this strong intuitive power. You need to be doing this. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you wacko. I was open-minded to this stuff, but I think part of that being a policeman, you're that healthy skepticism, right? Yeah. And that actually was pretty neat. I had a neat reading. And then I was on CJCA. There was a phone in for dream analysis for James Van Praagh, who's kind of a well-renowned now psychic medium, and it was about dreaming. I phoned in about a dream. He says, yeah, I'll answer your question about your dream in a minute, but just so you know, you've got this strong ability, you need to be doing this. And that's like twice I hear it up. I'm like, okay, well. And then thirdly, was the third time I had it. And in 2000, what's that?
3 times. That's a magic number. 3 times.
Oh yeah. Absolutely it is. Yeah. And so in 2012, I had a slip and fall. So I was married at the time, and I went out and fell back on some ice and woke up like 6 hours later in a CAT scan at Dulé Hospital. I don't even remember. And it was very uncomfortable. I was that was a Sunday night, and I was in the hospital all week. I really don't remember much about it. It was a fog, but I remember it was neurology ward. So they're poking you every 15, 20, or pardon me, every hour, and things like that. I just couldn't get rest. I couldn't get sleep. I mean, I'm sure I had all kinds of visitors. I don't even remember, but so Friday, I decided I'm enough of this. I'm going to have my grand escape and get out of here, because I don't feel like I'm healing. I must have, I don't know how they didn't catch me, because it must have took about an hour and 15 minutes for me to grab my few things. I was still lethargic. And I took a cab home, and then of course I get home, and my mom and my sisters are all, hey, what's happened? Where are you? And, you know, in hindsight, I was probably still half out of my tree, but I felt good. I felt like I was starting to rest. I was getting good sleeps and I started to feel a bit better. And I was supposed to start a new job. And I woke up that morning, this would have been the following Wednesday, and I started throwing up. So I know enough about head injuries and that, you know, if you're vomiting for no other reason, it's probably not a good thing. And so I went into the Misericordia to get checked. They transferred me back to the U of A. And I was on Wednesday. Thursday night, I didn't even know my own name. So I had such a bad brain bleed that it put pressure. It's called a midline rift. And so, well, my neurons and everything weren't firing right. And I didn't know who I was. And I remember, I'm not a guy that, you know, I can handle quite a bit of pain. I had tears running down my face begging them for painkillers. And I'm not one to take painkillers and stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And they were like, can't, you're maxed out. I'm like, come on, I'm a big dude. I can take it. Like, I was in so much pain. And they started asking me questions and, you know, and answer, and they go, what's the date today? I'm like, January 5th, 1968. No, the date today, January 5th, 1968. That was my birthday. And then they said, what's your name? And I'm thinking, hey, I know this one. Hang on. I couldn't think of my own name. So that's where they realized they had to operate. So they actually drilled a hole inside my head and relieved the pressure. So I guess it comes out like, you know, it's like brown motor oil, you know, the blood that's so I felt a little bit better, but the best way to describe it was like my soul wasn't entirely aligned with my body. I remember walking a little bit after it in West London Mall for whatever reason, and it's like it's like my body was here, but my soul was here, like not quite aligned. It was really weird. And anyways, so I started feeling a bit better, and I actually was the vice president of Alberta Soccer Association at the time. I had to move down to Calgary because I was supposed to start that new job. I couldn't even lift a thing. My family had to load up a moving van and send it down for me, and I had to come back to Edmonton for meetings. And I just had headaches the whole weekend. I thought, well, it's my first time back doing anything. And then the Sunday I went to Medi Center. Oh, you got an infection, you know, give me something. So I'm driving back to Calgary in my car. I had 2 Beagles at the time, and they're in the back. And I just felt like, I don't know how to describe it. I was like maybe having a stroke or something. And I, luckily enough, saw the Range Road and called in, and the Mounties came and found me and got EMS, took care of my dogs and my car and everything. And I remember sitting in Calgary. I was in the hospital in Calgary. It seemed like I was lying there forever. But then they came in and they said, well, okay, we have to give you a lumbar puncture. And yeah, it sounds like a barrel of monkeys, and it is. So they're putting a needle into your spinal cord, and you know, pulling out cerebral fluid, and you can't move because that's your spinal cord, of course. So you don't want to be yeah. So I'm waiting, and then all of a sudden I feel like I'm gonna throw up. So I'm like, you know, can somebody bring me a basin? I'm gonna throw up. And they're all running around, but nobody's bringing me a basin. And that's all I remember. And I woke up, and I was in like a single room at the time, and the nurse came in and he says, wow, you scared us. I go, you guys scared me. I thought I was going to yak all over you guys. And he goes, no, we lost you. We had to bring in resuscitation. And it wasn't until he said that it had come to me kind of what happened. And now, my dad, oddly enough, but he was a policeman in Edmonton Police Service. I was a military policeman. He actually died in 1976 the first time, and he was covered up for over 10 minutes. And U of A came and did a study on him because at that time, you shouldn't be able to live after your brain is starved with oxygen for over 10 minutes. And so, you know, you can have, you know, brain damage. And when he came back, I used to say to my dad, well, jury's still out on that one, Dad, right? But he has this amazing experience of going up to heaven. Yeah. And he said, like, if you think about looking at street lamps at night, you know, with all the lights on, he said, kind of like that was all these souls coming to him and welcoming him, not in voice, but in like telepathy, if you want to call it, right? And he said that at the end that there was this big bright light, and he felt, in his words, he said he felt out of that light, or through that light was God, or creator, or source, whatever you want to call it, right? And he felt the closer he got to it, the better he felt. He saw people that died in Northern Ireland in World War II when he was a policeman and things like that. that he'd forgotten about that he saw on there. And but the thing that really sat with me the most was that he said, Derren, you will never, the best you've ever felt in your life, times that by a million. And he says, that's the feeling you feel so loved, so happy, so welcomed when you arrive there. There's no words to describe and do justice of the amazing feeling that you feel when you cross. Now, sadly, I didn't have that experience. Mine was a different, it wasn't a bad experience, don't get me wrong. I didn't go south, but mine was very different. Mine was like a timeout in basketball. And it was like, okay, come here, dummy. We've given you these abilities. You're not using them. Get back in the game. Let's go. And that's what it was like. I mean, I just felt like I had this interaction. I think my soul was still tethered. And it was like, oh, okay. You guys are serious about this stuff. I'm like, oh, who knew?
I love that. Oh my God.
Believe me, if there's two things you would have told the old 19-year-old Derren, what two things would you never do or want to have anything to do with? One, surfing. I'm not a great swimmer, and that's just too much force of water for me. And two would be to do anything, like especially now I do ghost busting and paranormal investigation. I only watched one horror movie in my life, and it was what do you call it now? I can't think of the name of it. Poltergeist, and it scared the bejeebies out of me. And so I wouldn't watch another one. Now I don't watch them, not because I'm scared of them, but because I don't want to draw that attention. And here I am, to Ghostbusters all the time. So.
Oh yeah, but horror movies draw some kind of nasty stuff to you.
They do, yeah. So,
some nasty stuff, yeah.
Things. So anyways, that's kind of how it kicked off for me. Now, I didn't get back into it right away. I absolutely hit rock bottom with things. I wasn't able to start the job that I had. I just had been recently separated from my wife. She ended up moving in with a friend of mine short time after. And so you're going through all these emotions, heartbreak, you're trying to stay alive. I was in and out of hospital for about 6 months. I had to get a PICC line in through my vein into my heart, and every 4 hours it shoot me full of antibiotics, because what caused me to pass was bacterial meningitis. So that's, and then the worst thing you can do is being in a hospital, having a smartphone and images of bacterial meningitis, right? So they were saying, they said, well, I remember the next day 3 doctors came up and said, oh, so how you feeling? I said, well, better than I was. And, after I came to again, and I said, I'm hoping I'm supposed to go to New York for training with my job. And they said, oh, you won't be going, that you got bacterial meningitis. And I said, oh, is that bad? And they said, well, you're probably going to die. I go, again? I kind of did that. Gotta think if they just saved me once, I'm probably not going to go back. And I made a recovery. So the only thing that's lasting is that I have no sense of smell. And everybody says, oh, but then can you taste? And I go, sadly, I can. I've eaten cauliflower, crap like that I don't like. And I wouldn't be the extra large medium. I'd be maybe a large medium, but that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But what's interesting, and now that I do readings, there's been times where I've actually had smell come through to me, even as medically proven I can't smell. And I was reading a young lady in West Edmonton, and she was a young adult, and her grandpa was coming through, and she was very close with him. And then I got a smell. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm smelling something. And I said, this is weird. I explained to her how I can't smell. And I go, it's cinnamon. And she burst out crying. She said, wow, my grandpa and I used to stay at my grandpa's all the time. He couldn't cook or bake anything, but when I got up in the morning, we sit at the breakfast nook, and that's how we started our days. He'd make us cinnamon toast every time, and her grandpa was coming through at the time. So it was pretty neat how it kind of played out. But I didn't get into my mediumship right away. I hit absolutely rock bottom. I really did. I wasn't able to work, wasn't able to start my job, so I had no income. I had no medical coverage. Now I'm faced with a divorce and things, and huge financial implications of that. And I remember lying in bed, and I'm a very positive person, and but it was hard every day. I cried every day, and I remember the darkness. They know when you're weak, and they'll try and kick the shit out of us. And they would try to get me to end my life or things like that. I would never do that, and I wouldn't give in. And I just remember praying and putting out all the good I could in the universe. And, it ended up, it was just things happened at that time to get me through it. Every time, that's one thing I've noticed. I think in my life, I've had some crappy things, as we all have, happen to us. Every time something bad has happened, the light has always backed it up and said, hey, we still got you. You're going to be okay. And I kept seeing the numbers 9/11. I wasn't a medium back then. So I kept seeing these numbers 9/11. What does this mean? Like for 2 years, I saw this. Like, what is this? Why do I keep seeing these numbers? And when I got better and I started working, I became director of operations for FC Edmonton, the pro soccer team. And it was to the point where I actually went with them to New York because I wanted to go to the 9/11 site, because I thought maybe this is what this means. And it was interesting, but it really didn't gravitate with me. But finally, somebody spiritual said, those are angel numbers. You can look them up and they'll tell you what they mean. And basically what it said is, one door is closing for you and another one's going to open, and it's going to be magnificent, and we got your back, kind of thing. And it couldn't have been more true. And, as low as I was, as sad as I was and defeated, you know what, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing today. And I love what I do today. And you know what, it really was a blessing in disguise. And you know what, I could have quit, I could have gave up, I could have done so many things. There's a lot more to the story. In that spring, I remember being in the hospital. I was still suffering and going through all this. And my friend came in, he says, and again, I was vice president of Alberta Soccer, and he says, you always want to be on Canadian Soccer Association board of directors like your dad was. He goes, here's the application. And I couldn't even hold a pen. He had to fill it out for me. And long story short, Alberta accepted it. Once I was feeling better, it was in May, and I got sent, it was actually in Canadian Soccer as a centennial. I got sent to Ottawa and I got elected, which is not easy to do. It's hard. And it was very political in that. And I remember walking up to my hotel room, thanking everybody, going up there and just bursting out crying, because I followed in my dad's footsteps. I think we're the first father and then son that has ever done that. And, we were very close, and both policemen, and both died and came back. And it was really giving me confidence. And what those people didn't realize, I'm sorry, get emotional. What those people didn't realize at the time is, when I got elected to the board of directors for the Canadian Soccer Association, and I mean, there is professors on there, there's lawyers, there's Derren, all these people that and have these prestigious positions. When I got elected to the board of directors of the Canadian Soccer Association, I had just recently been living in my car with my dog, because I didn't know how to ask for help. I'd hit rock bottom. I'd lost, with everything that happened, I'd lost all my payout and everything like that in the military. I absolutely rock bottom. And that was the turning point to my life, is doing something, getting that one win and realizing nothing can stop me now, right? I got the light on my side. And so that's where it's gone. And then, it's built. Of course, we're all going to have bumps in the road. We're all going to, whatever, but I'm sure they would have been mortified. No, they just elected a near homeless guy to the, such a prestigious position. But you know what, I could laugh about it now. And to me, it's not a feel sorry for Derren story. It's a never giving up, and understanding there's so much that we can do, and things are meant to happen when you can find that light, whatever that means to you. It doesn't, what it means to me might be different from you and to all your viewers here, but of not giving up. And so, it's been an amazing, voyage for me since. I'm still feel like I'm in my infancy, for what I'm doing, but I've been able to help find some missing people for families. I've, being able, I've had a number of people have, said, you've prevented me from committing suicide, and thank you, and got people off addictions and stuff. I don't take credit for it. I'm just a transmitter receiver for the light, but I'm happy if the only thing I take credit for is knowing that Derren isn't smart enough to do this on his own. So transmitter receiver, and you know what? I love what I do. So that's kind of how I've come about to be the extra large medium. Technically it's 4XL tall, but we don't need to get too specific about that. But yeah, that's who I am and where I am now. And Now I'm interested in everything from angels to aliens, and I'm actually writing a book called Angels and Aliens. So, and it's just my story about experiences with that and that of my clients. So that's how I am who I am now, Tanya.
It should be angels to Zalians, the A to Z
Yeah, yeah.
of spiritual stuff, right?
Yeah. My marketing manager.
Yeah. Okay, I will take a 10% cut for that, sir. Wow, it's only warriors who can carry a story like that around.
Well, I appreciate it. And you know what? It's you know, everybody has struggles and it's not there's no, it's not comparison, it's not a competition. It's everybody's struggle is real. And I call life Earth 101. We're here to learn.
Yeah.
And even in, you think of poker, I mean, you can be dealt the worst hand and still win the round, or even if you lose the hand, you can still win the game.
Yeah,
it's how we play it. And that's the thing with it is, I think we all expect that the universe is going to wave its magic wand and hallelujah, we're going to be fine again. We need to work for it. But if we put that effort out and we turn to that light and we ask that light for guidance and protection, and they show me time and time again how much they have our back if we're open to it and willing to accept it.
Yep. See, now I never think the mark of a warrior is comparing to other people's stories, because I'm with you on that. It's like we can't compare our stories, but there are, it's undeniable that some people are fighters, right? And you're like, nothing is going to stop me, nothing, right? It can try, but it's not going to. And it's also something warriors do as well. They're like, oh, well, everybody's got stuff, right? Mm-hmm. There's always that kind of, well, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a mark of strength, and it's pretty cool to see, right?
Yeah. Well, it isn't, it's just the little things too. I didn't get to see it a week now. One of the things shows I like, I don't watch tons of TV, but with Survivor, and it's hearing the stories and the struggles that each one of those people have, and it's not always about coming first. It's all the little battles they win on the way. Yeah. I was down in Mount Zion National Park in Utah with a friend of mine a couple of years ago. Oh, I love it there. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh, good there. So they have they call it America's most treacherous hike. Yeah. And it's about a 5-hour hike up that mountain, and it's on little goat paths, so just go back and forth, right? Yeah. And up to the top of the mountain. Well, my friend is my age, but he's a triathlete, and so we're going up there. And I mean, this goes up to 5,700 feet, right? So the oxygen is like, I'm sucking. I was like, go, and he finally went and felt. I was like, there's only one way up and down, but I made it to the top, and just little things like that. And he goes, oh, cow. And there was people like, man, I'm sure you're the only north of 50, north of 300-pound man that's ever made it up here, right? And it's like, well, you know what? I'm older. I'm not as fit as I was, but I'm Northern Irish, and I'm stubborn, and I'm an ex-military guy, so I'm not giving up. And those are those little battles that we all have in our lives, and we need to test ourselves. We need to,
yeah, that's true. It is the little things. It definitely is the little things, and they deserve recognition too. Yeah. Sure. Can you tell us more about your team of light and how they help people? Yeah. So I kind of, I just kind of came up with this thing about team light and, and team dark, which would be, so when I talk about team light, I would say that's your creator, that's your angels, and that's your past loved ones that are all rooting for you. Okay. Team dark, I would define as earthbound entities, shadow people, demons. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that, and neither do I actually, but I always say never fear the darkness, but you need to respect it, and you have to be cautious of knowing what you could do that could attract them or get them to you. And that's one thing I see through my ghost busting, as I kind of call it, is there's a quote in the movie Usual Suspects. It says the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing the world that it didn't exist. I see that one. I love that movie. It is so eye-opening, right? At the end with Kevin Spacey and Kaiser Sosa. Oh man. Yeah. But that is legit though. The greatest trick they ever pulled was convincing you they didn't exist. Yeah.
and it, even I had to go do a clearing, playing with a Ouija board, and then they got all kinds of weird things happening in their house, and they're one suicidal, and you wonder why, right? So, but I don't want to dwell in the dark. I want to dwell on team light, and that's what you asked me. And that is, as I said, your creator, your past loved ones, your angels. And I think they respect our right of choice. That's one thing that we've been given in this world, is our right of choice. So we need to invite them in. I have an acronym that I use for getting rid of the darkness and moving ahead and meeting our highest potential. Yeah, and it's PAST. It's PASTS. First one, and this is the one sometimes people. This is one of the hardest things people have, is prayer. Prayer. Now, I want to put, this is what I mean is turning to your light. So I would call it God, but I realize a lot of people have different views, or they'll say source or creator, or all that's love and light in the universe. It's not about titles, it's about intent. So, what is that goodness, that higher, greater good, whatever it is, or, whether you believe in the creator, whatever, it's about signing up for team light. So it's prayer, but on a daily basis, and not just when you need it, but right on a daily basis, to keep that positive vibe up. The A in PAST is ask your angels to come and join you, to protect you and guide you, right? So again, they respect our right, but a right of choice, but invite them in. Don't just assume they're going to be there for us all the time, on the ready. S is to stay positive in knowing. I say this kind of funny. I say hope's a bad word, and people look at me. Hope indicates there's a chance that it won't happen. Yep. Right? I hope it happens. No.
Yeah.
I hope that it will.
Yeah. Know it like the sun's coming up.
Thank you. So flipping that little switch in your head and being that positive of knowing. So stay positive in knowing that you're going to remove that darkness, and stay positive in your day-to-day life. A lot of times too, I've been guilty of it. And sometimes we get right. We get product of our own environment. We've all been in work environments where you get this, and then you're falling into it. So take inventory on what you're doing, saying, thinking on a daily basis. The 111 tells us, be mindful of our thoughts. And most people think, oh, it's good, make a wish. Well, yeah, kind of. But, if I remember one day I got out of bed and I stepped in, when I had the beagles, I stepped in pee, and I was grumpy, and I hopped to the bathroom, washed my foot, got on the computer, and I'm uncharacteristically grumpy. It's 111, or pardon me, it's 11:11, and I didn't think much of it. Kept carrying on, and I was still kind of grumpy. Next time I looked, it was 111. Okay, got it. Thank you. Cancel, delete. I'm going to choose to have a good day today. So staying positive. T is tell it to leave. So many people have this darkness around them. Tell it to leave. Right? Exactly. So to leave. And then S is the saging or smudging. I use Palo Santo, known as the Holy Wood. So that's a kind of a five-pronged attack that Team Light will help you with. But you got to do a little legwork yourself. So
I like it. You pull out the big guns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Messing around, giving the old cluster bomb.
No kidding. Yeah, totally.
to the darkness, right?
Well, they kind of deserve it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so, the thing with it is, and it's not just about having these entities in your home or things like that. The most simple things they do is to get you off your game, get you off your potential, make you doubt things. When I teach mediumship courses now, and that's one thing I say to my students is, be careful. You're going to have doubt of your ability. You're going to have doubt. Team Dark does not want us to help heal God's children. So they're going to try and get you off, think you can't do it, do whatever they can do to get you off track. And, sometimes it's just motivation, right? So that's the thing, is they don't want us to be our greatest higher self, meet our expectations to pass Earthal 101 with honors. So they're going to try and trip us up. What I say with it is, Team Light is always willing to tutor you. So they'll tutor you, they'll give you cheat sheets, they want you to pass, but they don't write the test for you. You have to write it yourself.
Yeah.
But you got a good army of angels out there that are always willing to help you. And that's the Team Light.
In every moment too. They're feeding it to you. And it's whether you see it or not.
Well, and the only thing with the difference, Tanya, I always say that 100% of us are intuitive. Maybe the difference is, with you and I, maybe we're a little more accepting or understanding of it or so forth. We all get it all the time. I had an amazing reading with me here, and she was actually the mother of 2 girls that I went to high school with, and her husband passed, and I never knew him, but he was a big soccer guy, and of course my family is into soccer. And she was saying, he's not coming to me, he's not giving me signs. I go, he is, he's showing me he is all the time. And I stayed extra with her, and then I had another reading. I said, okay, well, I have to wrap up pretty quick because I have another reading. She says, well, let me just show you the PowerPoint that the soccer girls put together for him. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, I got to get going, but I want to help this lady. Third picture in, there's a picture of her late husband in the 1960s playing soccer. My dad was the coach. My son, my older brother, who's now passed, was as a kid was the ball boy. I said to her, "Are you kidding me? You're telling me he's not giving you signs? He just showed you. I told you I was running late. You felt inspired to show me this. There you go." She goes, "Oh wow, okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Often we just don't even understand what we're looking at. It's sitting right there, right? But you don't, if you're not looking for it, like if you're not aware that this stuff can come in and all kinds of different angles, it's easily missed.
it is, and people like a lot of time, and we have to be careful too, because Team Dark will try, and they can hear us and things, so we have to be careful if we're going to pray or meditate to the loved ones, or creator or angel. You can do it within your mind. They can hear you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want the rift raff, because this world's a super highway of souls coming and going, some low vibration, some high, some, you know what I mean, and so you don't want to give them anything so they can find out what your Achilles heel is, right? And especially if we've just lost somebody, they may, Grandpa, show me a sign. That might not be Grandpa, right? So we have to be aware of that. They're going to do things, they're going to show you, and they're going to let you know simple things. Put a song on that you love, or it makes you think of them, or that inspires you, or, if you equate butterflies or dragonflies with them, or things like that. We always hear a lot about diamonds being left and everything, and there's different, that's the way they do it, because they are very conscious of knowing we're a little scared of what's going on over the afterlife or the paranormal and whatever, so they're not going to do anything to scare us or to hurt us ever.
No.
So, but it's much more subtle, but it's much more beautiful. I'll give you a quick example of that. I equate my dad with Blue Jays, and the reason being is he was such an amazing guy. Bears would come eat out of his hand. Me and my mom are, sitting in the car shitting our pants when we were young. Right?
Stop it. Bears ate out of his hand.
He would come up, they'd lick him. He had no, you could get the crankiest baby or the meanest dog or whatever, and they would come up and whatever, and and it was amazing. But there's a picture of him with a blue jay feeding out of his hand. So that is what I equate to him. So the other day I just pulled out of my cul-de-sac, and wasn't going fast or anything, but just pulled out a bit, and this blue jay I just about, like, it was coming across, and if I wouldn't hit the brakes, I would have clipped it, and I knew exactly what it was. So my dad telling me, slow down a bit, watch out, be careful, right, driving. And I live South Edmonton, so it's funny, I just got on Ellerslie Road, and I was taking a right to go onto Calgary Trail, like in the highway towards the airport, and I looked, and it was clear, and then I just remembered that, and I stopped and I looked at it again, and a guy was trying to run across 111th and run the light, and had a gun, and he had to be going 80, 90. And if I hadn't stopped that, he would have T-boned me right here. And I go, thank you, Dad. Right? That's how they work. That's how the light works. It's subtle. It's never anything's going to scare you. It gives you goosebumps or whatever, right? So.
Okay. I really love this. So if you were teaching somebody to pay attention to this in their own life, other than the incredible example you just gave, what do you tell people? Right? It's like, here your signs are coming. This is how you look out for it.
Yeah. And don't, again, they're not going to be banging stuff around your kitchen. I can promise you that. Yeah. Right. And it's going to be subtle things. It's going to be, and you can even ask for it. If you don't have something you equate, I was doing a reading for Our Lady a few weeks ago there. And and you can tell she was like, no, show to me, what you know, and this and that and whatever. And she didn't say that, but I was sensing that about her. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I think it was her grandma. It's like, watch for dragon falls. she's like, shut up, are you kidding me? I mean, like, she told her grandma when before she passed to show me our dragonflies. And it was very specific, and that's not, me butterflies or birds or whatever. So the big thing was, you can ask for it, or in that case they had something prearranged before they passed. But you can also say, like my brother, for example, he's passed, he loved ladybugs, a tattoo of a ladybug on his foot. And he'll always, I live in the basement suite, I have no plants, and every winter I'll find a ladybug I never find a dead one. I don't know how it gets there, but he's just showing me he's around me, right? So in that case, it was something, because I that's what I equated with him. And so am I helping to manifest it? Yeah, I don't know that I ever asked him to show me that, but I know that it's not that he's in that ladybug, it's he's sending that to show you that he's around and he's guiding you, protecting. So don't be afraid to ask. Again, do it quietly, do it through prayer, do it through your creator, not to anybody per se, but and ask, please show me this. I want to see that. But it's not just in the natural physical form. You can see it on TV. I get rabbits all the time. I live north, I live west, now I live south. And you'll see in the winter, wherever my bedroom is, there's always, you can see rabbit prints by my bedroom window for whatever reason. So, that one I haven't figured out yet, to be honest with you. I don't know who that is. I know what my brother sends me. I know what my sister sends me. I know what my dad sends me. I don't know, but thanks for the rabbits, whoever it is. So,
that one's a surprise for you.
Yeah, no, just ask for it and show that, and just know that they're never ever going to scare you. Same thing with dreams too, is like, okay, they can be my dreams, but it was really scary. Okay, well, that's probably something trying to deceive you to think it was them. They're never going to scare you in your dream. And could you see them or sense them, and how did it make you feel? I can do dream analysis, but you're the best one to analyze your dream. Is it come from the light or from the dark, right? It will never tell you anything that's going to be anything to scare you, hurt you, or anybody around you.
Yeah, and if you go to sleep stressed out or worried, that is a gateway.
Sure it is. Yeah.
Those are massive gateways.
I kind of created my own little protection prayer before I go to bed, and every night, and I haven't had a nightmare in about 7 years.
Nice.
Yeah, so
that's fantastic. Yeah, it's one of the most powerful times to program your brain, right? Not just your energy, but your brain.
Yeah, and then we're very vulnerable in that state where we're kind of dozing. We're not quite asleep yet, but we're not entirely awake. That's gateway time.
Hint to all the people who fall asleep watching horror movies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Preach, girl.
Yeah, right. Or true crime, or any kind of TV, just any kind of TV. Yeah.
So
yeah. It's true. Wow. Okay. Dang. I love everything you've shared with us. There's like so many incredible things to just kind of soak in, right?
Yeah, and it's like, even though, when I've done thousands of these and things, and I really find I'm still in my infancy. I feel I know a lot, but compared to what is known, there is to be known about there, I'm just a fraction of what I need to know, right? And so, the big thing is with anyone, again, we're all intuitive. You need to learn to trust that. That doesn't mean you're all going to be mediums or energy workers or anything, whatever, but it means that we're ascending, where this is a new dawn for us, and we want to try and raise that vibration as high as we can. I really feel that there's a real polarization in this world right now. And, and obviously without getting into politics or this, the other thing, it's time. It's like, hey, pick a team, right?
Pick a team.
Team Light or Team Dark. And I would say you don't want to be a spiritual free agent. And by that, I mean, think about your soul as the next Connor McDavid of souls, and the top teams want to assign you Team Light and Team Dark. Well, most of the people out there that I experience are not, nasty, evil people, right? So they have no intent to sign to Team Dark, but they might not have done enough to sign to Team Light. And that's about showing your intent. And I'm not talking about churches or synagogues. It's about between you and your creator, source, God, all that's love and light in the universe, whatever that higher power or usually most people can agree with all that's love and light in the universe, right? And you sign up for that. and show that intent to that on a daily basis. And it helps lift your vibration, feel. And the great thing about it too is one of the things I would say, it's great, and we look internal and we want to be better, and we sometimes we pray, or we meditate for things for ourselves, and too, it's probably just important, probably more important, that we help one another, right? That we are like, that's the thing with it, it's a win-win situation. My dear old 95-year-old mother, who is healthy as anything and doesn't even sound like an old lady on the phone. She sounds like she's maybe 60. She's got it. And her whole thing is she's been so positive all her life. She never drank, never smoked, never, and, always looking on the bright side of things. I think that's her longevity, that is created to a long life. But she's just said about me, she goes, Darren, I noticed after you do a session with somebody, you're just beaming. I said, yeah, it's a win-win. When you feel you can help somebody in some way, it helps you so much, it fills your heart. And that's why it's such a two-way, win-win for everybody, right? So we got to, and I'm not suggesting that too many people are, but we can get self-absorbed sometimes. And sometimes it's not just about worrying about us. Sometimes it's helping somebody else. And again, the end product, the byproduct of that is it helps you.
Yep. Always. It always does. Yeah. Teaching is another level of understanding, and helping people is another level of understanding yourself. And it's funny, when you're helping other people, you're telling them stuff and you're like, I'm not sure if that was for you, for me, or for both of us.
There's so many times, and I do a thing called Evening with Spirit, which is like a town hall meeting when we talk about anything spiritual. And one day I had about 35 people in there. So, and I open up, I don't usually do this, but I did some open mediumship, and I'm like, okay, who is it that has their dad? I think it's a dad, and they have a boat, but it's on the East Coast, like either Newfoundland or Nova Scotia. It's a white boat with a blue, and these two ladies who kept putting up their hand. And the dad was born in England, though. Yeah, keep going. I think I went through 21 points that were exactly the same, but one lady's dad was passed and one was open. Well, I know it sounds weird, but I can read and I sense living people too. I said, look, I'm just going to give the message. You tell me who, because I know we're not, but we're not getting anywhere. And I told the message, and that's for me. And the other one was, that's for me. And I'm like, it can be for both of you.
For both of you.
Yeah. So it was amazing how many 21 points. And like, those are pretty rare-ish things, right?
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Also, that you brought 21 points. That's another cool thing there.
Well, you know what it was, and again, I always look at it, say, Team Light is always training me. I one of the things when I got into this is I didn't really want to learn from anybody else. I wanted to learn from them, right? Because a lot of times I see people repeating or saying some things, and oh no, but it's this way. How do you know that? What is your experience with it? You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not, right? But I'd rather be the student to them and them teach me, as opposed to, because you'll pick up good things from people, but you're also going to pick up either their bad habits or their things that aren't necessarily correct or as correct as they could be. Now, in hindsight, now I do stuff, and now I look at, I'm looking at Dolores Cannon, and I'm looking at these people and everything now, because I've kind of in my mind have something. Now it's about, okay, what more can I learn, and how can I learn new modalities per se, or try to perfect some of the ones that I have. So but it's each of us has a different path. Everybody needs to go it a different way. And I always say this too: don't drink anybody's Kool-Aid 100%, right? You take a little bit from Derren, you take a little bit from Tanya, and most of all, trust your own intuition, right?
Yeah.
What is your truth? How does that work?
Yeah, because anything coming from a human is coming through a filter of perspective, right? So even when you're a channel, when you're a medium, it's coming through the perspective, right? Like that filter. And so it's going to come out a certain way. And that's where you really want to trust your truth. That's like, oh, this sounds true, or, oh, that doesn't sound true. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's I always be wary of anybody that says their way is gospel. No, this is the way it is. And they talk like it's like,
that's a limitation.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily, they could be right on that particular thing about it. But the thing is, you know what? I don't think anybody on this planet has got it all figured out.
Well, no, but even the inherent law of the universe is that it's always expanding. It's a fractal. If anybody's ever seen a fractal, it's this constant turning out. So the moment something becomes true, it's already expanded. It's already changed something. So nothing is absolute. And anytime it's like, this is the way, that's time, that's a limitation. Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny, and I have my my certified mediumship course that I teach, and I just did my third edition. And when I look back of what I wrote before, I'm like, no, I don't think that's right anymore.
Well,
Or
you've grown.
it could be better. Well, because I'm still a student.
Yeah.
And
well, it's meant to, right? Just keep churning it out and growing.
yeah, it's very fluid. You know, it's not linear. It's fluid, and through my own experiences, and I have better insight now to, okay, I can revisit that, and you know, who knows how many versions will be done by the end of it. But again, it's and the neat thing about it, it's not about drinking my Kool-Aid and doing it just the way Derren does. It's like, here's from my experiences. Now you guys will make your own. Because
you want to go to the soda, like the fountain, and make, what is it, swamp pop? You know, take a little bit of like Pepsi, some Orange Crush, some, like a little bit. You want to make some swamp pop, right? Like,
good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Totally. And the truth is, like, even just from the time we started this to now, we're completely different versions of ourselves, right? In that ongoing expansive part of the universe. But that's like a whole other topic.
Well, but it's so true. And that's the thing, is when you have an open mind, we learn from each other. We could be established. You've obviously done this, you know, and you're knowledgeable on this stuff, and hope to think I am, but I'm still my infancy. But I like it because it's like we learn from one another, whether we want to admit that or not. We do. And even too, like, first time I ever signed up, I did, and this is part of why I wanted them to teach me. I signed up from some course, cost me over $2,000, and I thought, oh, I'm going to embark on this. It's going to be amazing. And I was done it in 50 minutes. I'm like, are you
fucking kidding me?
I'm like, geez, buy me dinner first if you're going to do that. But the thing that I look, but again, you got to look at, I'm also a certified adult educator. So I learned, okay, this is how not to do it. So I did learn from it. I still got something from it. It cost me a few dollars, but right. And so that's the thing, is you can't, when something negative happens, don't always look at it and say that, oh, this is terrible. What a bad experience. What did you learn from? Right?
Yeah. What's the wisdom? Yeah. Every time. What's the wisdom? Because nothing's wasted, and money isn't even real. That's another topic. There's a whole other topic. Yeah. Okay. This has been fantastic. And I hope we get to do this again. But Derren has an incredible offer for everybody, and we're working out a way to distribute this, and the details of that are going to be in the retreat under your free gifts area. But Derren, what do you have for the audience watching?
I don't know how terrific it is, but it's awesome. What I'm going to offer is a free spiritual reading to whoever wins this. So that can be anything from connection with past loved ones. I'll give you one on the house down there, don't you worry. But a free reading, which can be involved, connection with past loved ones. It could be about, actually, what I do the most now, especially in the last couple of years, is people feel like they've lost their direction. You know, this world's gone crazy lately, and it is basically about their life pathways. As I said, it's not that they're going to tell you, exactly do this, but they're going to get you on the right path, is what I really feel. And so that's a lot of what I do. I do past life discoveries, which is a lot of fun. I've had some amazing experiences doing that. And if you wanted a clearing, it's any of those at all, it's about $125 value, and I'd be excited to see who wins this.
I'm excited too. I'm excited for what we produce for a contest here. See how that works. That's going to be a fun one. Well, Derren, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you showing up for this.
My pleasure. It was very nice to meet you, and thank you for all the good work you're doing. Keep that up, and you've inspired me. I think I'm going to go with a little blue and green in my hair and my eyebrows. What do you think?
Yeah, you could come to my house. We'll do that for you.
Please. Awesome.
Oh, good. And thank you to the audience watching. You know how much I appreciate you. And this is my love letter to you. Thank you for being here. Remember to tune in tomorrow. We only have a few days left on the retreat because we've got more incredible speakers for you. And in the meantime, think deep, dream big, and spread light.